ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਕਰੀਮ ਆਲਮ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਿ 2 ਵਰੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸੂਬੇ ਦੀ ਚੋਣ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਵਰੇ ਮਿਊਨਿਸਪਲ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਹੋਣੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਸੂਬੇ ਦੀਆਂ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਤੇ ਮਿਊਨਿਸਪਲ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਦਾ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਐਂਡ ਮਿਊਨਿਸਪਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ what's the major difference? How do the voters respond to these different kind of elections? And what's the major difference between the campaigns and everything else about the municipal elections? We'll talk about this with Kareem Alam. Kareem ji, Sat Shri Akal. Welcome.
Hi, Jasbir. Thank you so much for having me on.
Kareem, first of all, introduce yourself. You're a gentleman, you are a political commentator, but now you're a candidate.
Yes, very shortly, actually, on the 26th of October, so on Sunday, I will be formally announcing my candidacy for Mayor of Vancouver with the newly formed Vancouver Liberal Party. I've got a lot of love and I've got a lot of passion for the city of Vancouver. I'm not happy with its direction, and I feel like it can do a better job, and that's why I'm putting my name on the ballot this time.
You are very early, but there are so many other people who are even earlier, especially Linda Annis in our city of Surrey. Why do people, they are announcing it very early this year? Is there a specific reason for that, or this is a norm?
I think it's becoming the norm. In the past, you could do your fundraising in a relatively short amount of time because there weren't donation caps. Now, because of the donation caps, to mount an effective campaign, you need a lot more donations and you need a lot more time to raise that money. But also, in my case, and I can't speak for Linda, in my case, I really wanted to spend a lot of time in the community, hearing feedback from them, but also to work to find and identify the best candidates to run with me on council and to run with me on the park board here in the city of Vancouver. And the more time I have to do the due diligence on our policy platform and engage the community with it, the more successful I think I will become.
Kareem, correct me if I'm wrong. I have a personal feeling that South Asian voters specifically, they are more into federal or provincial elections, whereas municipal election is the most important elections for every household, every resident of any city. Why does that happen, if it happens?
It's a level of politics that doesn't get the same amount of news coverage. So that's partly informed by that. But also, we have a very, very complicated municipal system where the parties that you're used to federally and provincially are NDP, Progressive Conservative, Federal Conservative, BC Conservative, Liberal. Like, these are all party names that you're familiar with. But when you get to the municipal political parties, it's confusing to know, does Richmond first, or does Riva, or does the NPA, like, are they left, or are they center, are they right? And so the more challenging issue is for voters to identify where are these candidates coming from, where do they stand on issues. That's why I made the decision to register the Vancouver Liberal Party here in this election, to clearly identify to everyone where I stand on the issues. I'm planning on running a campaign and governing as a middle-of-the-road pragmatist.
Well, provincial elections and federal elections, Kareem, are fought on the party basis. I have heard some talk about bringing some party-basis candidates in the municipal elections as well. But how important is the lobby groups in municipal politics? Because I hear many people, many mayors or councillors, they keep fighting time and again, 4 or 5 times. They still want to stay. When do you think, under what conditions, what kind of pressure or tools they have when they decide that I'll run, and when they decide that, no, I'm done, enough is enough?
Yeah, I think in Vancouver, it's a little bit different than in other municipalities, because in Vancouver, we have about 10 full-time reporters that cover municipal politics. So the Vancouver electorate tends to be better informed because of the volume of reporters covering Vancouver politics. We're starting to see in Surrey more and more media covering municipal politics. And of course, the more coverage it gets, the more errors that politicians register become more better known. So in communities like Richmond or Maple Ridge, for example, you end up seeing mayors that last for a very, very long time because the scrutiny and the pressure isn't there. But to the opening part of your question, which is extremely important to understanding municipal politics, is you have a lot of small community groups that are sports groups, that are BIAs, that are organized as cultural associations, festival organizers. They have a lot of influence and power too. And when they feel like they're not being heard, politicians start to lose elections. So they exercise a lot more power in municipal politics, these community groups, than they do in provincial or federal politics.
What is the most important factor, though, that lobby groups, the ones who provide the funding and the ones who handle the campaign directly or indirectly, or the name of the mayoral candidate, the name of the superstar kind of candidates in the slate? What's the most important thing?
I think they all matter. I think you want to be receptive to community voices. I think that's incredibly important. I think name recognition and branding and having a clearly delineated policy platform is also critically important. Here in Vancouver, Ken Sim and ABC have raised property taxes by 26%. Even if they raise taxes by only 0% this year, they will have raised property taxes by more than any other party in a 4-year period in the history of the city of Vancouver. And they're doing that in the middle of an affordability crisis. So this issue is going to become very dominant in our election. Public safety, also as a platform issue, is going to be a big driver. Ken Sim and ABC have failed to make people feel safer in the city of Vancouver. But lastly, and the most important thing, is housing affordability. Ken Sim got elected last election on speeding up the development application process. Jasbir, it still takes 7 to 8 years to get a high-rise built in Vancouver, and that's just way too long.
Some issues are federal, some are provincial, but some issues are important in all levels of the elections. I guess law and order may not be an important issue for Vancouver, but it is for us in Surrey. Housing, you already mentioned. And economy, do you think? So what are the issues very important in Vancouver? And law and order specifically, if you want to touch upon that.
Yes, public safety has become a huge issue in the city of Vancouver. We've seen international drug cartels and other foreign gangs starting to set up shop here in Vancouver. These are very dangerous gangs, and we need to have a much more robust, thoughtful approach, particularly around how they launder money. I think if we can attack the money laundering problem, I think we can have success on driving some of these criminal elements away. In terms of affordability, that to me is the second biggest issue. In Vancouver, everything's expensive, and it's even being made more expensive by the regulations and the red tape that have been piled on year after year after year to make housing more expensive in the city. But on the economic issue, this is becoming an extremely important issue in Vancouver. In Vancouver, only 4% of our land is industrial land, and now Ken Sim and ABC say they want to get rid of the industrial land. Well, that means workers in Vancouver are now going to have to go work in Burnaby or Surrey, and that's just going to put more pressure on traffic, and it's just going to make everything worse, and it's going to make our economy less competitive. So jobs are going to become a more important issue, particularly as we're seeing the international pressures from the trade dispute with Trump and some of the wars. We're going to have to become a lot more thoughtful about how we're encouraging businesses to thrive and succeed and hire more people.
Well, this is, I think, a city of Surrey specific thing that I want to ask you that, people are having sleepless nights because of the threatening calls. And on this particular issue, our Mayor Brenda Locke, first of all, asked about this Bishnoi gang to be declared a terrorist gang. And then provincially, Premier did the same thing, and Prime Minister Carney's government already announced it a terrorist entity. This joined us all. So don't you think that when you look at the statements from coming from different politicians, different stripes of politicians, their color is different. They try to defend their own strategy. Opposition talks in a different manner, and the governing side talks in a different manner. don't you think that we need politicians who talk about the issues specifically and they talk about the people in general?
I agree with you 100%. Collaboration, working together is extremely important. And whoever the mayor of Surrey is, if I'm the mayor of Vancouver, I want to work very closely with him, specifically on public safety, specifically on crime. We can't do our own thing in Vancouver and have Surrey do its own thing on public safety and expect to be successful. The criminals, the gang members that are here, they don't just say, I'm only going to commit crime in Surrey. They're committing crimes in Surrey and they're committing crimes in Vancouver. I want to see the VPD work very closely with the Surrey Police Service as well. We need to have an integrated team strategy. We're all in this together. We all live in the same region together, and we're only going to make progress when we band together.
How about ward system? That's my last question. Ward system, some people talk about this, that this can be very beneficial. Certain pockets, nobody talks about roads, nobody talks about certain other issues in certain areas of the city, but ward system can help.
I support a ward system in Vancouver. I don't want to comment on a ward system in Surrey, but in Vancouver, we've seen neighborhoods, especially the South Asian neighborhoods here in Vancouver, that have been underrepresented because there's no counselor that's accountable specifically and directly for that neighborhood. And what we've also seen over the last 50 years in Vancouver is more services and more dollars going to community centers on the west side of the city and less services and less community centers and services on the east side of the city. And I think a ward system would make sure that things and decisions get made more equitably on a regional basis.
And lastly, let's conclude and let us know the importance of municipal elections. They are going to happen in 2026. Anything else in your mind to our listeners?
I think municipal politics, it's the one that you deal with the most. It's the one that you have the interaction with every single day. It picks up your garbage. It makes sure that the water is running. It makes sure the sewer system's running. And these things aren't glamorous issues, but they're extremely important. And particularly as we're in these difficult budgetary times, having people who are responsible with money and making sure that those core infrastructure services, good fields, are also being managed well, they're really extremely important. So I would encourage everyone to really dig in and get involved in municipal politics because it is the level of government that you interact with the most.
Kareem, I wish you all the best. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Hope to talk to you soon. Thank you so much.